Here's all 45 quirks in My Hero Academia Vigilantes explained. Starting with the Bat Quirk, used by Bato Yobayakawa. The quirk grants its user bat-like traits, while its full capabilities under normal conditions remain unknown. Bato demonstrated enhanced speed and flight when under the influence of Trigger. After being transformed into a next-level villain by the Villain Factory, Bato's body underwent further modifications, becoming even more bat-like. Beams from his eyes, used by Ichimoku Samazu, allows him to emit a concentrated laser beam from his eyes. To activate it, he had to flip a switch on his visor, which then fires a blast at whatever he's looking at. With enough focus, he can also release more powerful, larger blasts. It's unknown whether Ichimoku needs the visor to keep his quirk from firing continuously, or if the quirk can be manually deactivated. Big Monkey, used by Rikaya Ino. The quirk was only seen under the effects of Trigger. When activated under the influence, Rikaya was able to transform into a giant-ass monkey. Blast, used by Sensoji. This allows him to fire rapid, continuous bursts of energies from the palm of his hands. These energy blasts are highly powerful, making this quirk especially effective for neutralizing most villains. Blast produces intense flashes that can temporarily blind the user, interfering with his ability to aim accurately. This often results in unpredictable shot range and trajectory. Sensoji wears shades that shield his eyes from the brightness, preventing the blinding effect and significantly improving his accuracy. Bombify, one of the quirks used by number 6. This quirk allows the user to mutate parts of their body to produce bombs of varying sizes. It seems to be a form of artificial quirk, likely developed from the bomber cells present within the user's body, specifically number 6. Due to the presence of bomber cells in the multiple quirks he possesses, number 6 commonly uses the ability alongside his self-detonation quirk, enabling him to detonate the bombs formed on his fists. He then uses his regeneration quirk to restore his limbs, allowing him to repeat the process. Bruiser, used by Chuma Yakumaru. This quirk allows the user to channel power into one of their limbs, enabling them to deliver a highly forceful strike. The longer the charge-up time, the more powerful the resultant attack becomes. When Chuma is under the influence of Trigger, the effect extends beyond a single limb. His entire body becomes powered up. Chest hair, used by Tema Nakaoji. Not much is known about the logistics of chest hair, except that it's hot as shit and that it's used in close-range combat. Cloud, used by Oboro Shirakumo. Cloud allows the user to generate clouds of various sizes and densities. These clouds can float, enabling the user to ride them through the air at high speeds and even store items within them. Oboro primarily used his quirk for high mobility, easily navigating obstacles and reaching elevated places like upper floor windows. He used the clouds for rapid movement, evasion, and surprise attacks, often hiding in them to confuse enemies. He could also create dense clouds to obstruct vision or defend others, as seen when he shielded children from fallen debris. Control Horn, used by the Great Cow Cowboy. This grants the user the ability to mind control cows. Cow Cowboy has demonstrated the power to control hundreds simultaneously, once threatening to unleash a stampede across the entire province of Japan if his demands weren't fulfilled. The quirk seems to rely on both horns being intact. When All Might severed one, the quirk's effects stopped immediately. Diesel Engine, used by Willy Wanda. Diesel Engine transforms the user's head and upper body into the front section of a diesel-powered locomotive. Dragon Breath, used by Drunk Lee. Dragon Breath enables the user to breathe fire from their mouth, but like the quirk Sloshed, it requires the user to consume alcohol beforehand. Eel, used by Teruo Unagisawa, allows the user to transform into a medium-sized eel. However, under the influence of Trigger, Teruo transforms into a much larger eel-like creature with extremely slimy skin. This slime acts as a natural defense, causing physical attacks to slide off without causing harm. Following experimentation by the Villain Factory, the quirk evolved into Electric Eel. However, if Teruo's body is coated in a substance that absorbs moisture, such as flour, the protective slime dries up, leaving him vulnerable to physical attacks. Flight, used by Christopher Skyline in The Bombers. Flight allows the users to levitate and travel at high speeds. Christopher's version generates an aerodynamic barrier around himself and anything he touches, shielding against heat, cold, and physical damage. He can control how much of the barrier extends to others. Given his ability to carry massive objects like a giant ship or even the Tokyo Sky Egg, it's believed this barrier also grants him superhuman strength. In contrast, the Bomber's version of this quirk simply gives them wings for flight. Fly Swatter, used by Shoko Haimawari. Fly Swatter allows the user to emit energy waves that strike targets from beyond their normal physical reach. To activate the quirk, Shoko must swing one of her arms rapidly, and she can perform multiple strikes in quick succession. So far, the energy waves have only been effective within a few meters and carry a force similar to that of a close-range physical attack. It's unclear whether the range can be extended further. Gigantic Spinning Flying Turtle, used by Eiji Okameda. This quirk appears to grant the user turtle-themed powers, including flight. However, since it's only shown while Edgy is under the influence of trigger, it's unclear whether his constant spinning or giant size are inherent to the quirk itself. As a result, the quirk's full abilities remain unknown. Glide and slide, not to be confused with Koichi's slide and glide, is used by the three Sturm and Drain brothers. The quirk allows the user to move across the ground as if wearing roller skates. To build momentum, users often mimic skating motions, enabling them to travel at speeds far above average. Their exact top speed is unknown, though they appear slower than Koichi, whose slide and glide quirk allowed him to overtake them with ease. Grasshopper, used by Ichiro and Jiro Hota. Grasshopper grants the user the ability to transform into a large human grasshopper, enhancing their physical abilities. However, since the Hota brothers have only used this quirk after injecting pure trigger, its full natural capabilities remain unknown. The Hota brothers primarily use Grasshopper in combat, where trigger boosts their strength, agility, and jumping power. They fight in sync, often executing coordinated combo attacks. Ignition, used by Moyuru Tochi. Ignition grants the user the ability to produce fire, starting with a small flame atop their head. Moyuru can also exhale powerful flames from his mouth. When under the effects of trigger, the flames spread across his upper body, significantly increasing the strength of his fire. Kaiju, used by Ryuichi Gojiyama. This quirk is only observed while Ryuichi is under the influence of trigger, so its full effects remain unclear. However, it enables Ryuichi to transform into a giant human lizard. The quirk seems to be a nod to Godzilla, sharing similarities with Toho's iconic creature in that regard. Leap, used by Kazuo Hanayama. Leap allows the user to jump great distances and heights. This quirk is not related to flight, so the user requires a solid surface to push off from. When activated, the quirk cushions the user's fall, preventing damage from high drops. Leap cannot protect the user from falls outside of its activation, leaving them vulnerable to injury or death if they fall from a significant height. This quirk also relies on a firm surface to work effectively. Softer, muddy ground can reduce the height and distance of the jump. Lizard, used by Wrapped Tokage. Lizard transforms the user into a reptilian form. While the full range of its abilities is unclear, the quirk appears to grant Wrapped enhanced endurance and a faster healing factor. When under the effects of trigger, his transformation becomes more extreme, allowing him to fly. Long leg, used by an unknown villain, allows users to extend their legs. Mantis, used by Kirihito Kamachi. This quirk appears to grant the user mantis-like powers based on Kirihito's behavior and abilities while under the effects of trigger. After undergoing bioengineering by the villain factory and being enhanced by trigger, this quirk transforms Kirihito into a much larger human mantis with razor-sharp claws. Monster Cat, used by, of course, Monster Cat. This quirk allows the user to merge with an object or machine, taking its shape and gaining full control over it. The user can also detach from the object when needed. Monster Cat was only seen in action after Koen Hachisuka injected trigger into the animal, enhancing its abilities and allowing it to take control of a bus. Octopus, used by Ikajiro Takobi. Octopus is a close-range quirk that gives the user a cephalopod-like appearance, resembling a human octopus or squid. The quirk grants Ikajiro 6 visible arms along with 2 additional tentacle-like limbs hidden within his torso, which he can use for surprise attacks. Overclock, which was originally used by Iwao Oguro before it was stolen by All for One and later passed on to number 6. Overclock allows the user to move at extreme speeds by accelerating their brain activity, heightening perception and reaction time so drastically that the world appears frozen. This boost enables movement several times faster than normal, typically 3 to 10 times and up to dozens of times faster in life-threatening situations, even fast enough to outpace bullets. The quirk also enhances the user's senses, enabling them to see, hear, and think at hyperspeed. When combined with a healing factor as seen with number 6, Overclock accelerates cell growth, allowing for rapid recovery from serious injuries. He can even grow new limbs by fusing bomber cells with his body. Additionally, the enhanced perception lets users detect subconscious reactions, enabling them to manipulate or preempt an opponent's actions. However, Overclock has several limitations. It rapidly consumes oxygen, restricting its usage to only a few seconds at a time and requiring cooldowns. Brain injuries like concussions or oxygen deprivation can temporarily disable the quirk. Playtime, used by Mario Kagutsu. Mario's quirk remains unclear as it has only been observed while he was under the influence of trigger. When activated, the quirk appears to enlarge Mario to massive proportions. His skin turns black, likely due to the trigger, and he grows an additional pair of arms. The quirk also seems to impair his intelligence, causing him to behave like a child playing with action figures. Pointer, used by Hokuto Haruo. Pointer allows the user to locate specific people, places, or objects by pointing in their direction. To activate the quirk, Compass Kid has to spin in place, after which his limbs would extend and indicate where to go. Since his arms and legs acted as the indicators, Compass Kid was limited to pointing in only 3 directions at once. Polygraph, used by Makoto Tsukauchi. Polygraph allows the user to determine whether a person is telling the truth or lying. The quirk activates only through direct physical contact with the target. The quirk can be misled by technicalities. For example, Koichi was able to lie undetected when Makoto incorrectly referred to him as the crueler while questioning him. Propagation is the primary quirk of the cluster bombers. This quirk allows the users to grow and replicate parts of their body across themselves, increasing their overall power proportionally with the number of duplications. During the climax of the Sky Egg bombing, Number 6 commands a specialized bomber to use this quirk to duplicate itself, forming a fusion resembling 3 bombers in one and unleashing a self-detonation attack with triple the force. As a final move, Number 6 combines the bomber's regeneration and propagation quirks to merge all remaining bomber cells into a swarm of miniature bombs. Queen Bee, used by Koen Hachisuka. This quirk grants control over a hive of bee-like creatures called Apocrita, which are stored behind a medical patch in the host's left eye. The user can deploy vast numbers of bees across large areas. Each bee is biolinked to the queen, transmitting information and capable of injecting or extracting substances via syringe-like stingers. The queen is a parasitic organism that implants itself in a host's brain, merging with their consciousness and altering their personality. The process destroys the host's left eye, and remnants of past hosts wear eye patches even after separation. Under trigger, the host's physical traits become more animalistic, and the queen's control weakens, allowing the host's personality to partially re-emerge. The queen can also use bees to control others, as shown when Quinn manipulated a classmate to ambush Soga. If the queen dies, a surviving bee can evolve into the new queen, allowing the quirk to persist. Because the user is physically linked to each bee, any damage to them causes the user pain. Quinn avoids combat for this very reason. Radio waves. Radio waves is the main quirk used by the EMP bombers, and is also one of the abilities possessed by Number 6. The quirk allows the user to emit electromagnetic pulses strong enough to disable power and communications across a wide area. Rocket thrusts is used by Mazinger Brothers. This long-range quirk allows the users to shoot their right fist at people at high speeds. Scissors, used by Manika Kaneyashiki. Scissors allows the user to cut through nearly anything placed between their index and middle finger by making a scissor motion. It's powerful enough to slice through the limbs of solid steelworker exoskeletons, though it's limited by the space between the fingers. For larger cuts, Manika can also use her legs to slice through objects. Self-detonation, used by the bombers, Number 6, and the Anonymous. This quirk allows users to self-destruct in a large explosion generated within their bodies. The affected body part swells and glows as it accumulates explosive energy before detonating. The power of the explosions vary, with larger users creating stronger blasts, though even smaller ones can cause significant damage. The explosion usually results in death or severe injury unless modified with regenerative abilities. Slide and glide, used by Koichi Himawari. Slide and glide allows the user to project an attractive force from their hands and feet. The user can slide across surfaces for great speed, initially like a bike, later reaching bus speeds. It can move in any direction or cling to surfaces by attracting themselves. They can also shoot repulsion beams ranging from close blast to rapid fire, capable of piercing objects. This quirk enables limited flight through mid-air jumps. Smoke is the unnamed quirk used by the robber villain. Smoke allows the user to expel large amounts of smoke from their body, creating a thick smoke screen to obscure their movements from enemies. The antenna on their head can also shoot a dense layer of smoke at opponents to distract them. In addition to hinder invisibility, the smoke irritates the eyes of those who get too close, giving the user an advantage in close combat. Soccer, used by Emperor Yatsura. Soccer enables the user to dribble a ball through large crowds with the skill of a professional player, without hindering their ability to commit theft. It also grants them the strength to kick the ball with great power, turning it into a dangerous weapon. Spike, used by Soga Kugisaki. Spike allows the user to grow sharp, cone-shaped spikes from their body, initially producing about 3 spikes per hand or foot. These spikes are retractable and can extend from the user's hands, feet, and possibly toes. Under the influence of trigger, the quirk is greatly enhanced, giving the user a porcupine-like appearance, with a large number of quills emerging from the back, neck, and arms and heads. Stalk, used by Garvey. Stalk allows the user to absorb attacks and store them for later use. To activate this, Garvey must devour the enemy's attack, causing a lump to form on his back. When needed, the lump detaches, floats to the front of his face, and releases the stored attack. Suicide bomb, used by Suicide Bomber. The exact functions of this quirk are unknown, but its name suggests it can create massive explosions that engulf the user and devastate the surrounding area. Endeavor's Hellflame quirk was noted as the worst counter to his ability, hinting that the explosions can be triggered both by external sources and the user's will. It is also implied that this quirk has the potential to kill its user. Swan is the quirk of an unnamed Gunner. Swan gives the user two large white wings resembling those of a swan, allowing them to fly. However, they are not strong enough to achieve flight without first removing their clothes. Tank Engine, used by Tommy Gordon, which is extremely similar to the quirk Diesel Engine and possesses the same abilities. Hands, used by Jubei Namimaru. This quirk allows the user to generate wooden swords from their wrists. Free Walker, used by Aizo Tanuma. This is an unknown quirk within the series, but based on the name, the quirk allows Aizo to use his legs freely without fatigue.